There's so much out there nowadays, way too much, that people get confused. They just get confused. There's too much confusion, and yoga is all about making it simple, making it easy, and making your life peaceful. Is not about having tons of information in your head so you can be the best teacher in the world, or you can be a guru. I remember when Gurudev many years ago, he said, it's such a pity. Everybody wants to be a guru, nobody wants to be a disciple. Isn't it true? And the best place to be is a disciple, because that's where you learn, that's where you grow. Well, that's where humility, when you open, it can come in. But if you think you know it all, there's nothing else that comes in. And again, I will recommend, please read the lives of great masters. They taught very simple things. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. Do not steal. Ahimsa. Do not cause violence to anyone. Satya. Be truthful always. Aparigraha. Non-greed. Buddha. The Eightfold Path. Right meditation, right knowledge, right work, right company, right everything. All very simple. Today, the topic is discriminative discernment. First, I'm going to give you a story, and then I'm going to talk about a few basic truths which you all know. And really, just because nowadays everybody's getting so smart with neuroscience and brain this and, the prefrontal cortex, the limbic cortex, this cortex. None of the great masters used any of that information. They just connected with that part of the brain automatically. How? Sutra 28, Yoga Sutras, Book 2. By the practice of the 8 limbs of yoga, the impurities dwindle away. What are impurities? Imbalances in your body, mind, emotions, impurities dwindle away, and there dawns the light of wisdom, leading to what? Discriminative discernment. When I read that Sutra 28 many years ago, I thought, wow, all I have to do is follow the 8 limbs of yoga. There's my road map. Make it simple. It's worked for thousands of years in all the different traditions. Forget what the traditions have become because of religions, forgive me. I think everything has to topple down now. Well, let's start again. Just with these great truths, because nobody seems to be practicing them. Everybody's just out wanting to be famous, like I said, or wanting commercialism, or wanting this and wanting that. It's nothing about what yoga really means, which is connecting to the highest source, to the greatest truth in you, to live a beautiful life in your body. You're so many people just running around trying to get more letters behind their name and not living peacefully. Hello. Yoga is not buying something. Yoga is being who you are fully, full of love and joy. And some people go, oh, Nalini, I'm very confused talking about discriminative discernment. You always say, serve, love, give, meditate, purify, realize. I do all that and people take advantage of me. And I say to them, I asked you to do all these things because that's what, we're taught. But I never asked you to be stupid. I never asked you to be manipulated. I never asked you to allow people to bully you. I have never said those words. Do you see how people just have, there's no discrimination. So first I'll start with a very simple story. There was a man And he and his son, they needed to sell their donkey to get some money, but they had to go a few villages where there was money and somebody wanted to buy the donkey. So they started on the journey, and the father said to his son, "Son, you sit on the donkey and I'll walk beside you." So they walk a few miles, and the people in the village go, "What a horrible son. What a horrible son you are. How can you allow your father, your elder, to walk while you sit on the donkey?" So the son feels bad and the father feels bad, and they both feel, "Oh, it's true." And the son goes, "No, father, you sit on the donkey." So the father sits and the son walks. So they go to the next village. The villagers, "Did you see that? What a selfish father. Doesn't care about his son. The son can hurt his foot, and the son is walking and the father is sitting on the donkey." So they both looked at each other and they said, "What do we do?" So the father said, "I got an idea. We'll both go on the donkey." So they go to the next village, and in the next village they get there, and people in the village say, "Oh, you animal cruelty, animal cruelty. How can you do this to the donkey? Two of you on the donkey. Oh my God, this is cruelty." And then they look at each other and they go, "You should be looking after donkey, shame on you." So they look at each other and they think, "Oh my God, we've tried everything. What's the next one we should try?" So they decide to get a pole, and poor donkey has been walking so far. The villagers are correct. Let's get a pole and carry the donkey. So they get this pole, and just as they are about to reach the village where they were going to sell the donkey, there's a bridge. You know, one of those rope bridges that you find in India or Vietnam or one of these places. So he crosses the bridge, but the weight of the pole, the donkey, everything, the bridge starts to shake. And of course, they're trying to get their foot steady. Guess what? Donkey falls into the water, and you can guess what happens. It drowns. So discriminative discernment. Now, this is a very exaggerated story, but this is what happens all the time with people. They hear some truth. They like it. "I'm going to live this way for the rest of my life." Oh, somebody else goes, "Oh, but don't you know, if you go to this person, they'll tell you about your future. And then at least you'll know what your future is. And when you know what your future is, oh, you'll be more peaceful." So they go and have their fortune read. Are they more peaceful? 99% of the time that I have seen, no. More thoughts in the head. Somebody else comes, "Oh, I'll take you to a healer, and this healer will do everything for you because all your chakras will be worked up and down and you will be healed." Really? I don't have to do anything? No, you just go to this healer. So they go to this healer and get all the chakras manipulated. They feel really good for 1 or 2 days. And then, boom, problem comes back again. And then they go, another person says, "Oh, you know, I saw this on YouTube and you should watch it. And it tells you to do all these practices so that you get really powers." I get powers. Sri Patanjali talks about powers, right? I want those powers. I want my ego. I need to be famous. I'm a good person. I should be important. I need to be important. So start doing it. Few weeks later, disastrous. Ego gets too big. People don't like them. They get disliked. Then they're chasing the dream even more instead of relaxing. They started off with a simple idea. I want some peace in my life. They ended up with 1,000,000 ideas, but no peace in their life. Please, discriminative discernment. If something is going to bring you peace, and some courses do, they make you actually feel a lot better, do it. Take what you like, drop what you don't like, chew on it, work on it. Get really good at it so that it takes you to the truth. Because as our master said, when you learn something and you stick to it and stick to it, it's like digging for a well. If you go deep, you will get water. But if you keep going from one thing and another, there is no water. So discriminative discernment is a huge, huge subject. And when Sri Patanjali said, study the 8 limbs and you will develop it. Oh my God, I thought because I could never make decisions before. Being a Gemini, I was always, is this right? Is that wrong? Is that right? Is that wrong? Is that right? Can't say no, can't do this, can't do that. Just couldn't do it. I was so messed up. And when I saw this, I thought, I'm going to practice this. So what are the 8 limbs? Most of you know. Let's say it together. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So what does that mean? Yama Niyama, Yama Niyama is all the things you need to practice within the world, which is non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, balance in everything you do, balance the lust one. And finally, non-greed. Now, what are the niyamas? Practice of purity, body and mind, pure thoughts, look after your body, don't overdo, okay? Tapas, accept pain, it's part of life, for purification. Santosha, contentment. When you're content, what happens? Supreme joy is gained. So these are the things you need to practice. So if you are not content, this one was really easy for me. When I got up in a funny mood, I go, look, I'm not content. This is my problem. Why am I complaining? I am complaining. There's no fingers to point. Okay, first step, no fingers to point. Discriminative discernment. You got to be clear in your mind, otherwise you cannot make decisions. So, I'm not content. If I'm not content, what is happening? I am desiring something that I don't have. That's the next step. You're not content because you want something and you don't have it now, and you want it now. So you become discontent. No wonder I'm miserable. Easy to fix. Easiest one to fix. Anybody can guess how? Anybody can make a guess?
Drop your desire?
Yeah, drop your desires, but very difficult to do very quickly, right? But what can you do very quickly?
Which gratitude?
Gratitude, 100% gratitude. That is the answer. Yes, think of all the things that you do have, not the things that you don't have. With partnerships and marriages, I see this all the time. I go, why do you always count the bad qualities? Why don't you look at the good qualities? If you're telling everybody or somebody every day, oh, you're stupid, you're an idiot, you're no good, you're lazy, you're fat, you're this, you're that, what are they going to? They're going to be full of pain and anger. But if you say, oh, I love that you are so kind. Look for the good qualities constantly. Of course there are bad qualities, but then if you see the bad quality in other people, look for the bad quality in yourself first. Why do you see bad in other people? Because you have it in you, you recognize it. Remember, it's mirror work. Everything you say nasty about somebody else is because you're actually judging yourself. Fix that. Start to use contentment, gratitude, the easiest practice, and 2, compassion, discriminative discernment. Okay, so you got the yamas and niyamas that we do, and swadhyaya, study of spiritual books, and then finally Ishvara Pranidhanam, which is not in your control. Surrender to the divine source. Surrender to God, in other words. Don't stress. Do your best and let God do the rest. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Now, oh my God, I'm not content, and this person did this. So much stuff. Of course you're anxious. Too many things to think about. Keep it simple. Bring it to simplicity. I am anxious. I'm fearful. I'm wanting things that I can't have. I'm not seeing what I do have. I'm just focusing on negativity. I talked about it last week, contemplation. Contemplate. Sit down and say, stop. This is not where I want to go. Make it simple. All you have to do is address yourself. The moment you stop blaming, you address yourself, it works. It works right away. Because you start to step back from yourself. Okay, so now let's go back to the next one. So asana, you all know, some postures too. Because exercise is always good. If you don't like asanas, walk a lot every day, swim, do whatever you like. Pranayama, breathing, we talked about deeply the last few weeks, which is science of breath. And then pratyahara, sense control. You can't have everything you want in life. So learn to hold back a little bit. You know, okay, you want, you know, for example, certain drugs are not good for you, but you want to try it, you want to do it, you try it one time, and you know it's not good for you. Hold back. Don't go there. Don't go there. You know something's not good on you. Contemplation. I know, I tried it, I did it, I'm done. If I continue on this path, it will be dangerous for me. Think about yourself. Nobody's going to think about you. Your friends will say, have this, because they all want company. So why don't you have another drug and another fix and another fix and another fix? How many fixes? So hold back, hold back. You can practice. You can the way I practiced in the early days was, what was I addicted to? Cadbury's chocolate. And it wasn't good for me. In the sense that little bit is not bad for anyone, but I was asthmatic. Mucus forming, or too much chocolate is mucus forming. So I'd have a big bar every day, and I don't know how, but I was really skinny in those days. I don't have chocolate and I put on weight. Interesting. But anyway, let's go to the fact. So what did I do? This is what I love. Have to have a bar every day. So I didn't want it to make it too difficult for myself, but I wanted to train my mind, make it simple by using something physical that I loved. So what I did was the first week I said, only on Saturday will I have a bar of dairy milk. Monday to Friday, nothing. Simple, right? Sounds like an easy operation. First day, everywhere in Gibraltar, all these kiosks with Cadbury's chocolate. Really had to practice. And I actually told my husband at that time, please do not allow me to be tempted. And I was tempted, so then I thought, I'm going to give it up. By giving it up, this person is going to be very healthy. It was somebody I loved who wasn't very sick. If I do it for myself, I always break it. So, I'm doing it for this person, so I couldn't break it. So by Saturday, I'd have a bar, then go down 3 months down the road. 3 months, just 3 months. I'm not even thinking of Cadbury's dairy milk. I'm not even thinking of it. So it's all learning to hold back. And then now I have it whenever I want. I haven't had it for 4 weeks because I had a tooth problem. And the other day I said, I feel so much better. I'm going to have a couple of pieces of dairy milk. After 2, I didn't want any more. Do you see? Because you've learned now that you can do it. You like yourself for sense control. Okay, next, and these are easy practices. Then we go to dharana, which is concentration, and start with focusing. We talked about this last week a lot, to do with contemplation. Okay, and then from contemplation, it goes into meditation, and meditation, samadhi. We can't discuss samadhi because you can't make nirvana happen. When it happens, it'll happen. But you can't say, I'm deciding to meditate today and I'm going to be enlightened. Sorry, folks, that is not truthful at all. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. For very few people. It's a long time, and then one day you sit down and suddenly you say, it's half an hour. I thought it was 5 minutes. You're meditating. It's when you really are, you don't even know you're there anymore. Okay? That's how you know. There are lots of little hints, but another day we'll do that. So now, those are the 8 limbs. When you work hard on them, discriminative discernment comes automatically. Now I'm going to go to Ula's story that she sent the other day. I'm going to read the story to you and then her question. Is that okay? She wrote this. Dearest Nelanie G, the following happened to me a few days ago in broad daylight in Monte Estoril. November 7th, close to 2 p.m., I arrived back home after having been to Cascais shopping. A car honked behind me as I was driving towards the gate of the garage. Thinking it was a friend, I stopped and looked. A 45 to 50-year-old, very dark man got out of a rather scruffy car, stopped right behind me, together with a teenage boy, 14 to 15 years old. They claimed I had dropped something from my car, that they had been driving after me, and that was why they honked. They both walked around my car and bent down, looking at the underside of the car. After a while, I got out and looked around the car myself and could not see anything missing. Thinking they meant a spoiler or similar, then I saw the man take something out of his pocket. He showed it to me and said that was what had flown off my car and hit his front window, which he said got damaged. It was the little plastic logo of Toyota, weighs about 10 grams only, which used to be on the door of my boot. I was astounded as he showed me his damaged window. But then I started to understand what this was all about. The man said, this will cost $800 to repair, but we can share the cost. You pay 400 euros. To which I said I would not pay anything, but get my insurance company to have a look at it. He then claimed an insurance company would not pay damage of an item which had fallen off a car and damaged another. A rather useless and long discussion started, and I tried photographing the damaged window screen, which was difficult. The man did not allow me to photograph his registration plates. He stood in front of them and hid them. He then offered to do the photo with my phone, which I said no. By then, he had lowered his price to 300 euros, then to 200 euros, and finally 100 euros. I told him I was calling the police. He first said we could go to the police station together. I said no, they were coming to us. I called our security number, didn't work, but he didn't know that. I'm cutting it short now. And I thought, how did he remove this plastic logo? Either he did it at the shopping center, or either he followed me, and when I was in the car, he got his son to distract me and then took it off my car, the sticker. After seeing me with so many of the phone calls, they finally got frightened and went away. Anyway, I was frightened when I drove into the garage because I did not know if they had parked the car a short distance away and they were waiting for me to drive in the garage, in which case it would have been very dangerous, right? There's nobody there at the garage. And so what she's asking is, and she said, I suppose I had a guardian angel with me, as they did not attempt to steal my phone, handbag, or the car, or hurt me. I am sending you this, hoping it will help someone who's in a similar situation or worse. So here she's saying the question, how do we use discernment without being too negative, judgmental, or spending our lives being scared in present times? What do we teach our children and grandchildren without crying wolf? We don't want them to be scared, but on the other hand, we want them to be prepared using their discernment. When the incident happened to me, I was totally unprepared, believed they were people who wanted to help me. I had no warning signal in my belly. Only when I understood they were trying to con me, the adrenaline started boiling inside me. And I suppose my firm refusal to pay them anything and claiming I was calling the police was my lucky escape from something that could have been very nasty. So what do you tell your children? What have parents been telling their children from the beginning of time? Red Riding Hood. When you go through the forest, don't speak to strangers. I was told that when I was a young girl. Mom used to say, go to school, any strange person stops you on the way, don't talk to them. So that's what you tell your children, as we've been taught for years. That's not being what you call non-yogic. It's just using discernment, because really you don't know who they could be. Really. I remember in the 70s when everybody was doing what you call hijacking, and I was in the States at university there from 71 to 74, and so many of my friends and people used to give people rides, and then we started hearing stories of them being stabbed or things stolen. There were so many of those cases that we all decided, all the women in our university decided we're not going to give anybody a ride. Now, is that being harsh? No, we have to think of safety first. And many times we would pass the road and we see, oh, this person looks really nice. But then discriminative discernment, we don't know. And once you make a decision, you stick by it. Like Ula, this question, you didn't know. They honked, you thought you know, they were friends of yours, then they came out and then you realized. Now, what happens when but you didn't have any feeling in your belly, but discriminative discernment automatically came in. Why? You've been practicing this path for years and years and years, and I tell you, when you do get protected. Really, it is true. I see people get protected when they practice truth, goodness, kindness. This not only is a miracle, it protected me. They do operations and things go well because there is a goodness, there's something. You go, angels were by my side. And I go, yeah, because you practice it. And what you practice, really you do. You know, Sri Patanjali tells us, in the presence of one who practice non-violence, what happens? All hostilities cease. Says it in the book, 3,000 years old. Have faith, and that strength. The strength to take your phone and say, I'm going to call the police, and stick your ground. Now, many people, oh, I shouldn't be judging them. This poor man, maybe I did this. No. Maybe I'm judging too much. Please don't be so sickly sweet. It doesn't work. Okay, this is many spiritual people can be sickly sweet when it doesn't work. Discriminative discernment. Be clear. What is your end goal? Do you want to hurt them? No. You need to live by the truth. What have you been taught by your parents? Be careful. So anyway, so you see, discriminative discernment is following inside. Sometimes you have no warning signals. But when you don't have the warning signals, like in Ula's case, I really have seen people are protected. And now I must tell you another story, that the day she sent me this question, which must have been 3 days ago or 2 days ago. Anyway, when she sent me this, no, last week, because that's how I chose the subject, sorry. So that same day she sent me this question, my brother sent me a video from the States about this preacher. He must have been 80-something. He was rushing in his car to go to church to give a sermon. Now, all his life, he'd been a really good man. And his part-time job, his job was a university professor teaching physics. Because, you know, in the church nowadays, people don't make much money, right? So, taught physics. Anyway, as he was driving to church, and there was a camera on the street that got this photograph, there was a car that was slipping straight onto him before he could do anything. The car hit the post, and what happened? Instead of banging into him, flew over his car and landed the other way. It didn't touch him. In fact, he thought, what happened? He thought, too quick. He had to go into church. And then somebody who had seen it, witnessed it, got the camera and later showed him this clip. And he goes, are you serious? It's not possible. This can't happen. And being a physics teacher, he looked at the place where the post was hit. The other car had to hit the post at a certain angle to catapult. Otherwise, it would have crashed into him. He said, the chances of that, you have to measure that. It just doesn't happen. And he goes, it's my miracle. It's my miracle. The angels were looking after me. And I love that story because it's happened to many people. You know, it has happened to many people. Miracles have happened, and it's not. And we need to see it and have faith in them when they happen to us. It's never what we seem to ask for as a miracle. It happens when we least expect it. That's how I see miracles happen. I remember one time when I first started this path, and I was always repeating the mantra, because my guru said, if you keep repeating the mantra, you will be protected. So one day I was walking from my home in Gibraltar to my shop, which was 15 minutes away. So I was walking in reverie, and suddenly I heard a voice in my head move, literally. It moved. There's a huge, in one of these big container trucks, that mirror missed my head like, psh, I was blown this way, but I wasn't hit. It didn't touch me. That 1 inch that I moved saved me. And I said, thank you, mantra. Yay! You know, it's magic. It is magic, because you see, when you're in a high frequency and a high vibration of trust and just listen. I was just doing mantras, so voice came in and I just listened. I listened and I got saved. So clear mind. All these practices, this is discriminative discernment. All these practices are just to keep the mind clear. As you think, you become. Too many thoughts, what happens? Your life is a mess. Less thoughts, focus on the moment. Now I'd like to read to you some things that I got from Sri Patanjali. I thought was really, this book is so old, but it's so incredible. I talked about body language. So I'm going to go to book 3, Sutra 19, and read what it says. Learn body language. How do you learn about body language? Being around people. Yes. You don't learn it from a computer, by the way, or an online course. Well, you can learn something, but really energy with people is where you get the best teachings, okay? Because you can feel the energy while you're around them. So here it says, by samyama, on the distinguishing signs of others' bodies, knowledge of their mental images is obtained. What does that mean? What does samyama mean? Samyama is dharana, which is concentration, dhyana, meditation, total focus on somebody else. You're just looking at them. And what happens? You start to understand body language. Oh. Bit nervous, bit agitated. Did you hear me? My knees going up and down. That's what I'm doing. Bit nervous, bit agitated, a little uncomfortable, not sure if they're in the right place. Okay? Twisting of the foot. I'm not comfortable with this situation. Can't get out. Or I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm trying to keep awake. It's little signs. And the eyes, you watch, it tells you a lot. And this helps you to know when you should say something to that person or when you should just shut up. You feel the energy. Don't want to. It's either protection and fear of being who you are, or holding back, or I don't want to know. It can be both, depending on the person. You know, I don't want to express myself now. I want to keep myself safe, keep my energy within me. That can also be that. So there are many little different things that you can learn, but you learn most when you start to understand and see people. All right, the more you see and face the smile, the more people smile, the more open they are. If they don't smile a lot, does it mean they're not open? Not at all. It just means they're more reserved. Look at their eyes. The eye is kind, but the smile is held. They're just reserved. That's it. So you learn. You look at both, and then you look at facial expression. I mean, it's a whole science. I'm not going to go into it. And you, as an artist, when I was studying fine arts at school, you learn because you're staring, or we used to have to draw nude models as part of our course. So every Tuesday, we'd have a nude model at school. So you're staring, you can stare, and you can see the model. Oh, she's really in a bad mood today. She doesn't want to be doing it. The model is doing this. And you can feel, after 1 hour of drawing, you're like, really feel the mood of the model. You know, and if she's happy and loving her job, you can feel that, you know. And then, yeah, it was really very interesting. Just 1 hour of staring and drawing. It's a meditation, really. This is samyama, focusing on one thing, focusing. And this is where you get a little bit of modern art, right? Where people put their own colors and energy. This is why I love the post-impressionist period. I love colors. So I love it when people, you know, I love Van Gogh, Cézanne, Monet, all these great colors are colorful because I feel they put their color into it. But this is going into the art field. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not an expert, but body language. When you study the arts, you understand body language a lot. That's why dancing is such a good therapy. Why is dancing such a good therapy? Because it helps you to open, express drama. Drama is brilliant. Teaches you to open up, express, become many different characters. And then you ask, but who am I within all these characters? See, art's brilliant, so good for one. This is what I always recommend. A lot of drama, art, music. It really is and helps discriminative discernment when the focus is not on being famous, but loving what you do. If you're doing what you're doing just to be famous, the focus is a bit offside. You can be bad mood, you can be disappointed if you don't get the best part in the play, you know, ego comes into play. But if you just love it, you're happy with any part you get, you really enjoy it. I say that because I've been in plays ever since from 5 to 2020. I was in every year in 2 or 3 plays. And I realized how good that was and how much I learned about people as well. Backstage, those with the egos were the nastiest. They were very mean and very nasty. And if I got a compliment, they'd put me down. So you learned that very quick. So I just went mostly backstage on my own till just before a play because I knew people will attack. You see, you learn lots of things in life. Just life is your teacher. And you learn discriminative discernment if you are awake in your life. But if you are too busy thinking about 1,000 things, what you heard here and what you heard there, like the man and the donkey, the son and the donkey, listening to everybody else, except sitting down, like I said last week, contemplation. Why am I uneasy? So, Ula, to answer you, No, never become bitter and judgmental. It's just the way it is. We live in this world of duality, where there are painful times and there are good times, where there are good people and when there are people that are not so good. We have to accept they both exist in this world of duality. But if we become judgmental, I wouldn't even think about it. You handled it, done. Thank you. Don't keep it in your head, because what happens is every time you go out, you should be aware, but you're going to be anxious now. So you just do some mantras, take a slow, deep breath, see this beautiful golden light surround you. You will feel uncomfortable the next few times you go to Cascais Shopping Center and on your way home to your garage. But after a few weeks, make sure that there are cameras in your garage. I think you should demand for that. And there should be some panic button there as well. These are little things because as people get older, they need more protection, okay? So great question, Ula. Now one more, there are many aspects to this question. So another aspect is we've got the 4 locks and keys, right? The 4 locks and keys are our behavior towards the outside world. Knowing how to behave with the outside world is discriminative discernment. Like I said, serve, love, give, but don't be an idiot. You know? Be discernment. Walk away. And this is where Gurudev said it in the 4th lock and key. Disregard the what? Wicked. Disregard them. What does that mean? Disregard. Don't even go there. Don't even give them your energy. Don't even try to correct them. They'll chop off your head. They'll chop off your head. And you're just trying to tell, even with yogis this happens, right? Happened to you recently, happened to me recently. So why are you behaving like chop off your head? What to do? It happens, it's life. So let it go. Don't go there again. Done. Disregard. Walk away. And think, what can you do? And the first one, be friendly towards the happy. Be around uplifting people. Don't be around negative people. Get away from them. Get away from people who are complaining all day long, because by the end of the day you will be exhausted. You will have no more energy. It will sap you. Whether you're strong or not, eventually it'll sap you. So be around people who uplift you. Yes, do people need help? Of course they do. Spend 1 hour with them, max, out of their way. Help them if you can, uplift them, but you can't save everyone. Again, people have to learn the tools. I've been speaking for 30 years about these tools. They're there. Practice them. If you practice them, 100% guaranteed you will live a beautiful life. All you got to do is practice the 8 limbs of yoga. Simple. You learn, you develop. Because you'll say, not causing any harm to anyone. What's the perfect action? Memorize this. One that causes no harm to everybody, to anyone, some benefit to someone, yourself included. So if you're so good to someone and it makes you miserable, you're doing something wrong. It's not win-win. You're trying to please them. You're trying to please them. You're overdoing, and that's why you're getting anxious, because you're trying to please them, but you don't feel that in your heart. You have to remember, we're not here to be hypocrites. So you're not perfect now. Doesn't matter. Time. When you practice, time will heal you. Just be simply good. Try your best, that's all. You'll fall 100 times. I have, but does it matter so long as you get through it? So are you seeing what I'm saying? Discriminative discernment. Let me read to you something else. So learn about body language, self-study. And what is the goal? Book 4. This is the goal. He who, due to his perfect discrimination, is totally disinterested, even in the highest rewards, remains in the constant discriminative discernment, which is called Dharma Mega, cloud of Dharma, Samadhi. Note, the meaning of Dharma includes virtue, justice, law, duty, morality, religious merit, and being steadfast. So the end goal is when you achieve all these things in yourself, what will happen to you is this cloud of virtue will be protecting you. It's higher frequency, the cloud of virtue. You see it in people that shine. The face shines, the body shines. Bhagavad Gita, when you live like that, your body will shine, your eyes will shine, everything will shine, because you're living in a pure mind. And this is called cloud of virtue. And what happens by the practice, in the presence of one who practices non-violence, all hostility ceases. In the practice of one who practices truth, what happens? Nature gives you everything that you need. And you know that. Some of you here have seen this in your life. You have. You practice the truth. You get whatever you want. You just get it. And you gotta, and then you continue to practice. Because life is a journey, like I keep saying, again and again. But this is the end game. And here Sri Patanjali talks about discriminative discernment a lot. And the way to really develop it is to keep the mind steady by practicing and focusing on one thing. In other words, think of this. Your life is like a movie, right? Enjoy each frame. Click, click. Click, click. Do you see? Frame by frame. And if we can see our life frame by frame, Eckhart Tolle calls it the power of now. Just be in the now. You can see everything very clearly. Why don't we have discriminative discernment? Because the mind is not now. It's everywhere. And what is it always thinking about? All the problems. This is why we have the Bhagavad Gita. 100 negative thoughts and 100 negative brothers to 5 positive. This is the battle we have all the time. And what is it? Practice, focus on me. When Krishna says focus on me, so focus on God, focus on the highest. And if you can't understand what God is, think of virtue, goodness. You know why? Because it just feels right. People who practice it shine. People who don't, it's obvious, isn't it? It's so simple. Always grumbling, always complaining, always finding something wrong. Ugh. Life is too short. Before you know it, you're too old to change it. Change it while you're young. Work on yourself while you're young.